Hello and welcome back to Surly Tim's. Now, this one, as you'll be able to see, is about a movie called Shark Week. Now, on the case that I had bought, it was a three-pack of movies, B movies, of course, from the Sci-Fi Network. It's called Shark Island on the front cover. I looked it up, and there were several movies called Shark Island. This was not one of them. So it was put out in 2012 for the Sci-Fi Network. And I found that the budgets for most of the sci-fi movies are between 1 and 2 million. I'm not quite sure how they calculate profits from those films, though, so I don't have that information with me. Uh, it's about a group of strangers who were isolated on an island by a millionaire who's seeking his revenge on them because of the death of his son. He connects all these people to the death of his son, and that's why they're here. He's attempting to kill them off slowly by through using sharks, multiple sharks. It can be compared to a movie from 1932 called The Dangerous Game, which I've seen, but I've also that movie's been remade in one form or another or reimagined several times. Eventually, I'll probably wind up reviewing or talking about a few of those as I go. Had nothing to do with sharks though. Now, in the beginning, they're each of them are drugged and they're ridiculous at how they're handled. There's a couple of henchmen that show up, and there's at one period of time where it looks like it's a little kid's hypodermic from one of those little toy kits. There's no needle or anything. It looked just like one of them, and pumps it into this person's neck. They drop. They take him away, and this continues on. There was one point in time where it looked like the needle, because there was a needle on this one, and it was placed alongside of the neck in a downward motion, and that was it. The only person who fought back out of all these people, I mean, and there was a cop involved in some of these people, and they were in relatively good shape. The only one that fought back and had any kind of ability to do so was a rich fella, and he was also the last one to be captured. Now, the computer graphics on this thing were shoddy at best. The slow, shaky camera shots. I think they were done to basically extend the time period or pad the timing, and it only like topped out at 89 minutes. The film starred Patrick Bergin. He was in Sleeping with the Enemy and Patriot Games. If I remember correctly, he was in kind of a small parts in those films. Most recent film was this year that came out, and I believe it came out just about a month ago. And you could tell it was a movie that was held off for a while because he starred opposite of Stacy Keach and Tom Sizemore, who I believe recently passed. Also, Yancey Butler of, I would say, probably the most well-known project she was in was Witchblade, the TV movie and the series. I remember her from a TV show back in the '90s called Man and Machine, in which she played a robot or android policeman. It's kind of enjoyable. I think it maybe went one season. I can't really. I didn't really look into it too hard. She was also in a movie called Hard Target, opposite Jean Claude Van Damme. Also, I had like bit parts in Kick Ass 1 and 2. Uh, I think she played a teacher of some sort. And also, she was in a handful of from the Lake Placid franchise. Now, the most ridiculous moments in this movie, there was one of the characters dropped into a swimming pool. The victims were placed in front of a swimming pool, and they were when they were when they were kidnapped, they had hoods put over their heads, and they were standing next to a pool. Well, the henchmen would push off somebody. They pushed one of the characters off into the pool and was eaten by these little digitally rendered sharks that were horrible and much too small to eat a human or to devour a human that quickly. It's like they were treating them like they were piranha, which furthest from the fact. And also the other one, which really bothered me the most, and to the point it was just annoying and it was stupid, was the characters carrying around a landmine, which are pressure sensitive. I would imagine it's not possible, especially when you're grabbing it like a frisbee. And it actually had the dimensions of a frisbee with almost like it looked like a pile of crap on top of it. Now, my alternate title for this would be Island of the Career-Ending Digisharks. Now, the writing, I gave it a 0. It it held my attention only because I think out of spite, because I wanted to like see how bad this thing was going to get, and it got really bad. Now, the acting, I put at about 0.5 just because you saw a little bit of effort, but it just didn't hit on all levels at all. I would say less than half the cast was on point. Even Nancy Butler really was terrible in this movie too. She looked like an old barfly. She's not aging well. And Patrick Bergen, he didn't pull off Craze too well, and he just seemed like he was trying to go over the top to play the part. Just really didn't hit right. So, and the other ones were bit characters. Not that these two weren't bit characters as well, but like I said, I gave that a point 0.5. Directing, I gave a point 0.5 because I think the director did as good as he could with what he had to work with. Production level, I put at a point 0.5. It wasn't 100% terrible, but I'd say that the digital sharks and a lot of the digital effects were just so bad that it drug it down to a point 0.5. They could have done a lot better. And in my personal opinion, I gave it a point 0.5 just because it wasn't all terrible. It kept, like I said, it kept my attention. Like I said, I think I watched it more out of spite than anything else, just because. But yeah, which gave it a 2 as a total rating. Uh, like I said, it's not an entirely horrible movie. Like it's just below average. But was it worth the time to watch? It was kind of fun. I was hanging out with a couple friends, and it gave us a chance to really riff on the movie, which was basically what it was meant to be, I believe. It was a movie that really didn't take itself too seriously. I hope not. But yeah, I mean, it was there. So, well, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.